If you're going to Barcelona, I already know you have a long list of attractions, foods, excursions, restaurants, but I've got one more thing that I'm gonna need you to add to that list, and that is a day trip. Barcelona has no shortage of incredible day trips around Catalonia. But in this video, I'm quickly gonna share 3 of my absolute favorite day trips from Barcelona. Hi, my name is Kim and welcome to KRod Collective. Let's jump in and start with one of my absolute favorite ones, and this is great for anyone who loves to be outdoors or who loves nature, and that is Montserrat. Montserrat is this stunning multi-peaked mountain and pilgrimage, and it's located about an hour outside of Barcelona. Montserrat actually means sod mountain in Catalan, and of course it gets its name because the mountain itself looks like a handsaw. And a fun fact, I'm pretty sure that Montserrat is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, so that's pretty cool. And there's also a lot more than meets the eye when it comes to Montserrat. So what can you find when you get there? When you get there, there are a few hiking trails that you can do at different difficulty levels and different strength levels. Montserrat is also a deeply spiritual place with religious roots. There is a basilica there where you can visit La Moreneta, who is the Black Virgin or the Black Madonna. She is considered the patron saint of Catalonia, and many people from far and wide visit to give her honor. It's also a small art museum where you can see art displayed from the 13th to the 20th century. So you can see works from artists like Picasso and El Greco, who was a very famous Greek painter, who was also very influential in during the Spanish Renaissance. I had to learn a lot about that guy in college. There's also some caves up there, and what's really cool about those caves is that they inspired Gaudi in his work when he was creating the very famous Sagrada Familia. There's also some really incredible photo opportunities, especially when you get to the top. So obviously there's a lot of things that you can do once you actually get there. How to get to Montserrat. There are several different ways that you can get to Montserrat from Barcelona. Fastest way to get there is obviously you can rent a car and drive, but you can also take public transportation as well. You can take the metro to Plaza España, and then from Plaza España you need to take the train. And once you get on the train, there are 2 different stops that you can take to get off to go to Montserrat. The train will take you anywhere between an hour and an hour and a half. You can also take the bus. There is a bus that goes directly there from the Sants station, and the bus probably takes around an hour to an hour and a half. Now I'm not going to go into too much detail about how to get there from the city center. I can make a separate dedicated video for that. My biggest suggestion for going to Montserrat would be to take a tour. Now I think this is a great option for travelers for a couple of reasons. Number 1, it can take a lot of pressure off of you. So instead of thinking about how to take public transportation, what time to leave, when to get there, all of that stuff, most of the time in a tour, that's going to be done for you. And all you really need to do is just show up. Second thing I love about taking a tour is that most of the time you're getting a tour from a local guide. So they can really give you a lot of insight, a lot of history behind that area of Catalonia and also Montserrat as a whole. There are also a lot of different tours where excursions are included. For example, the rock climbing. I've also seen a few really good tours that have lunch provided, wine tasting, all of that stuff. So that's also a fun thing to kind of add onto your trip to Montserrat. I'll leave a link of some really great tours. I'll leave it down in the description box below. Now, this day trip from Barcelona is for all of my Game of Thrones fans, and that is Girona. Girona is this beautiful medieval city that is located about an hour outside of Barcelona, and most of season 6 of Game of Thrones was filmed there. But hey, Game of Thrones is not its only claim to fame. Girona is an absolutely stunning city. It's known for its picturesque facades, its beautiful cathedrals and narrow stairways. Ugh, it's beautiful. Also, it's 13th century Jewish quarters, which is actually one of the best and most well-preserved Jewish quarters in Europe. There's this long river that runs directly through the city, and it kind of separates the city into 2 parts, and there are these really beautiful houses that were kind of built on top of the wall. They were built in the 20th century and they're beautiful. You can take tons of pictures over there. There's also a really big fortress in the city that was built by the Romans and protected by these really big walls that go all the way around it. Another fun fact about Girona that I love is that it's known for its Eiffel Bridge, and it was built by the same same man, Gustave Eiffel, who built the Eiffel Tower. But he built this bridge about 10 to 12 years before he built the Eiffel Tower. Also, not to mention, the food in Girona is fantastic. They have Michelin-starred restaurants and world-class chefs. Now, I definitely would recommend a tour for Girona because there is just so much incredible, rich history. And if you're going on a tour guide is really going to have a lot of useful and valuable information about the history of the city and a lot of in-depth knowledge that you may not get if you're just going on your own. But you can go on your own and you can use public transportation. There's a high-speed train that goes from Sants, I think, directly to Girona. You can also go by bus with the Barcelona Nord station. You can take the bus directly there. It's about an hour north from Barcelona. And of course, there's some really cool Game of Thrones tours that you can do. Girona as a whole, for me, looks like something that was pulled straight out of a fairy tale. It's truly beautiful and absolutely worth going to see. I could talk about Barcelona day trips all day, but I'm just gonna leave you with one more day trip that I think is worth seeing. And this one is very, very special to me. It is Sant Sadurní d'Anoia. I'm butchering this in every way because my Catalan is really not that great. Whew. So let's backtrack just a little bit. Catalonia is known for its delicious wine and has several different regions, such as Tarragona and Montserrat, just to name a few. In the northeast is one of the biggest and most important wine regions, known as Penedès. And in there is Sant Sadurní d'Anoia. And this is home to some of the largest Catalan production of cava. Now, if you don't know what cava is, let me introduce you. This is cava. Oh, delicious. Clearly, I don't have the appropriate glass for this. It's Catalan sparkling wine and it is 100% one of my obsessions. Cava is to Catalonia like champagne is to France. You've got champagne that is made in Champagne, France, and Prosecco, which I believe is made in Veneto, Italy, and then cava, which is made in Catalonia. In order for it to be called cava, it actually has to go through some pretty strict rules and regulations. And I'm gonna say this as someone who is slightly obsessed and has a very, very clear bias. And this isn't even a competition, so I don't even know why I'm trying to make it a competition, but I can taste the difference between champagne and cava. Cava is more melony to me and has a little bit less bubbles than champagne does. And yes, I would choose cava all day, every day. But back to our day trips from Barcelona. Sant Sadurní d'Anoia is where all of the cava magic happens. And it's only about 30 to 45 minutes outside of Barcelona. If you ever see a bottle that looks like this, it could be pretty easy to pass it off and say, oh, that's champagne, but it's not. It's not champagne. This is cava. So this is from Freixenet, which is one of the largest producers of cava. But there are also some small family-run wineries that are really, really fantastic and that I really do highly recommend you go and visit. And those are the ones that I kind of tend to gravitate towards, are the ones that I really like to visit, because you're supporting a local business, and especially since a lot of these wineries have been passed down through generations, kind of getting a peek into this generational production. But the bigger ones are just as fun. You can spend the day doing wine tastings, going on tours of wineries, and just learning more about the day-to-day production of cava. Be sure to check out the description box below. I've got a little more information on the wine region of Catalonia, cava, and some tours that you might be interested in. And if it's your first time in Barcelona, I've got a few things that you need to know, so check out this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Nostalgia, love, friendship, passion, all of those things in a glass. It is so good.